This is your host, Danny, and this is Common Mistakes from English Plus Podcast. In our Common Mistakes episode today, we're going to talk about the common mistakes we make with the word satisfied. Let me start with a couple of examples. The salary they offered was more than satisfied. Another example. Her examination results were not satisfied. It doesn't feel right. Now, satisfied, we use that to describe a person. We say that of a person, and that means feeling pleased or content. For example, despite the team's convincing 3-0 victory, the manager was not satisfied, was not happy. But we're talking about a person. But in the first example, we're talking about the salary. The second example, we're talking about the examination results. So here, instead of using satisfied, we say satisfactory. Not satisfied, satisfactory. We should say the salary they offered was more than satisfactory. Or her examination results were not satisfactory. Now let me give you two more examples. I was completely satisfied of the quality of her work. Or he seemed quite satisfied from my progress. Well, what's wrong with that? It's okay. I am satisfied. I'm a person. That's okay. He seemed satisfied. Also, we're talking about a person. So obviously there's nothing wrong with using satisfied, but there's something wrong about the preposition we used here. We don't say satisfied of or from. We say satisfied with. So I was completely satisfied with the quality of her work, or he seemed quite satisfied with my progress. Satisfied with somebody or something, of course, but not of or from. And now, since we're talking about satisfied, and I mentioned satisfactory, you might ask yourself, why don't we use satisfying? Well, let me give you an example, and then I will tell you the difference between satisfying and satisfactory. Let me give you this example and see if we use the right word here. For many people, a part-time job can be very satisfactory. Do you think satisfactory is okay? We just said earlier that satisfactory can be used. We talked about the salary they offered was more than satisfactory. We said satisfied was wrong, satisfactory is okay. What about satisfactory in this example? Well, actually, no. We should say here satisfying. Well, the difference between satisfactory and satisfying is very simple. Satisfactory means good enough to be acceptable. Like when we say students are asked to leave the college if their work is not satisfactory, not good enough to be acceptable. But satisfying is different. Satisfying means giving pleasure or contentment. Like when we say there's something very satisfying about baking your own bread. Something that makes you feel happy. But satisfactory is a different story. Satisfactory, we're talking about some standards that you need to meet. If you meet the standards, so your results, whatever they are satisfactory. If not, they're not satisfactory. We're talking about standards there. But here, satisfying something that gives you pleasure. And here we're talking for many people, a part-time job can be very satisfying, not satisfactory. Because satisfactory doesn't make any sense. What, a part-time job? Good enough to be acceptable? What does that mean? But if we say, for example, the service in the hotel was not at all satisfying, now here we're talking about standards. Again, we should say satisfactory instead of satisfying. So I hope you found the information I gave you about satisfied, satisfying, and satisfactory useful, because that is everything I wanted to share with you in today's Common Mistakes episode. Another day, another common mistake. This is your host, Danny. Thank you very much for listening to another Common Mistakes episode from English Plus Podcast. I'll see you next time.